and wear a life jacket. Number 3, never go beyond the designated swimming area. Number 4, call 119 or a lifeguard on duty if you witness drowning.
뭐지? 1번도 맞고 2번도 맞는 것 같은데.
Time is running out.
The answer is all of the above.
That is correct. All of these options are important in order to safely enjoy water activities.
If you keep them in mind, you're bound to have a great and safe summer.
Stay with BEFM this summer for a responsible beach season.
김밥가게 박 사장님도, 문구점 김 사장님도, 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
There was a recent worldwide survey conducted by Save the Children, which is a well-known international NGO, which showed that high life satisfaction is important to children. So of the 1,000 children surveyed around the world aged 10 to 18, about 40% chose life satisfaction as the top factor in preferred conditions for birthplace, with coming at number 2, safety, and then no discrimination rounding out the top 3. We often hear or read about these types of surveys conducted, usually among adults, and it's interesting to hear from the young ones. The big question is, are children in Korea satisfied with their lives? I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, August 18th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. And I have to say, yes, for those of you who did tune in on Friday, we were not, on camera. So I missed you guys. I hope you're all doing well and had a good long weekend. So the opening was about, children, the survey about what they thought was important. But let's talk about the fertility rate or the birth rate here in South Korea, because it sits at 0.75 right now. This low figure is actually the lowest in the world. It's accumulation of a variety of societal factors, from things like housing, income, household chore division, and of course, education. And what about those individual choices and factors? Well, of course, a lot of thought and planning goes into family planning, but it seems that prospective parents here in South Korea put more thought into their family planning than others. This is according to the Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs, which released a comprehensive survey of people between the ages of 20 and 49 across South Korea, Germany, Japan, France, and Sweden. All 5 countries are seeing declines in their respective birth rates, but the other 4 countries are still above 1. Once again, we're at 0.75. Interestingly, single people here in South Korea had the highest intention to get married at almost 53%. However, we had the second lowest intention of having children. So why such a low rate for wanting to have children? Well, compared to other countries, South Korea has prioritized economic conditions, housing, possibility of career gaps, with over half of those surveyed seeing future uncertainties as an important factor. South Koreans by far saw having children as adding an economic burden at almost 60% compared to, for example, France or Japan in the mid-30s and Sweden sitting at 25%. Factors like being unable to do what they want to do freely, limited career opportunities, And of course, we've heard it before, work-life balance challenges also played a big role for South Koreans. Researchers said that all of these perceptions and values collectively affect how many children actually people are wanting to have. And they pointed to these perceptions as not just simple individual choices, but a structural issue pointing to the direction that society should be heading to make changes. And how that's going to take place, that is the big question. All right, that is our main theme for today. But here's our text topic. Are you ready? When you go somewhere new, do you immediately whip out your map app, or do you navigate yourself and kind of wander around? 자, 나는 새로운 곳에 가면 무조건 지도 앱 켠다 versus 감으로 돌아다닌다. 저는 그런 감이 떨어져서 I always whip out the Navi app or whatever app that I need. So I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Send them into BEFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or Busan 영어 방송 to find our channel. And once you do, you can subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. Also from your phone, pound 9050, shop 900. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. So to find us, same thing there, search for BEFM or Busan 영어 방송, and you can add us as a friend and then send in your messages and photos as well. The ways you can tune into Morning Wave in Busan, if you're in Busan, on the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM, depending on where you are. Like I said, we're streaming live right now. You can watch again at your leisure. We're available on the BEFM app and also the Papang app as well. Easy to download. Both are free to do. All right, let's look at our Monday morning together. We have Michael Kang coming in for Cultural Interlude. That's in hour number 1. In hour number 2, we have Claire with News in Depth. For our special interview, today we're going to be focusing on the whole U.S.-Russia summit in Alaska. So we've been talking about this for the past several days. If you remember last week, saying that it was going to happen. So let's talk about the key takeaways from this summit. That's with our expert in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06 and this is News Overview. Special counsel to summon both Kim Gun-hee and her butler. The special counsel will summon former First Lady Kim Gun-hee and her associate Kim Ye-sung, sometimes called her butler, this morning for questioning into corruption allegations. 조국 restarts political activities after pardon. Former minor party leader Cho Guk will hold his first public outing today, visiting the grave of late former President Kim Dae-jung on the 16th anniversary of his death. July marks highest heavy rain damages in a decade. The heavy rain and flooding from June 16th to 20th caused 1.848 trillion won in damages, the highest in the last decade, according to the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters. Two dead, 13 injured in apartment fire in Seoul. 2 people were killed and 13 others were injured from an apartment fire in Mapogu district yesterday morning. Palestinians flee Gaza City as Israelis protest occupation plan. Thousands of residents have fled Gaza City after days of Israel's airstrikes that have killed at least 40 people across the enclave as Israel plans to forcibly remove 1 million people from the city. And this was News Overview. It's time Time for Now in Busan, and guess who's back from vacation? We have Sejin here. Good morning.
Morning.
How was your vacation?
It was marvelous. Have you missed me though?
Yes,
Because I
terribly, of
missed you.
course. Every day, people were saying, "Where's Sejin?" And I kept on saying, "She's on vacation."
I
So,
see.
yes, Sejin is back, everybody. Hey, so let's get your take on our text topic today. When you go somewhere new, do you tend to turn on your map app to figure out where you're going, or are you really just like you have a good sense of direction and you like to be adventurous and you just kind of wander?
I have no sense of directions.
Okay.
So I need definitely map.
That makes two of us, yes. Yes. So have you ever tried wandering on your own?
There was once when I was in Los Angeles and my phone was dead. And it was quite it was dark and in the night. And
That's
then
scary.
and I didn't remember where I was staying. So I was trying to make sense of where I was living. But then it took me on half an hour to find my accommodation.
Oh my
It was a really
gosh.
scary experience.
Yes, I'm sure, especially in LA. So thanks for sharing. Now we know. Yes, turn on that map app. All right, we're going to jump into our first story. This is about Busan's waste management expertise. I hear it's going international.
Yes, Busan is sharing its waste management and recycling know-how with Paraguay.
Yes, so this sounds like a big step for international cooperation. What exactly is happening?
They're running a training program until the 30th. It aimed at strengthening Paraguay's capacity to manage solid waste in its capital area.
So who's taking part in this?
14 Paraguayan policymakers, including mayor, a city council member, and a senior official, are joining. They will be having lectures, site visits, hands-on activities, and workshops.
Oh, so that does sound like a comprehensive program. What's the main focus?
The training is putting a special focus on raising public awareness and participation in waste management,
Yes.
which is a key issue there. So to see how things are run here, the group will be visiting places like Busan Environmental Cooperation, ESG Center, and the Community Flea Market.
Very interesting. So it's not just government-led, but it seems community-driven as well.
Yes, to make this happen back in March, Busan secured about 800 million won to fund it from Korea International Cooperation Agency, known for KOICA.
Yes. So are local companies playing a role in this too?
Yes, the Busan Environmental Cooperation, social enterprise called Elephant Factory, and a startup called Teraku are all taking part. And they're testing out collaborations and showing off what's called a Busan-style international cooperation model.
So it sounds like it's not just about like knowledge sharing, but also boosting Busan's economy.
You got it. Busan officials say they want to show their policies and help local companies tap into new markets abroad.
So it sounds like win-win, helping the planet and, of course, the local economy as well. Thanks for sharing this one. All right, what is next on the agenda?
If there's a fire in your apartment, can you get to the rooftop? Where exactly are the escape devices and sprinklers?
Oh, those are some really big but important questions I think people are asking these days, and they should be asking, right?
Surely. After a series of apartment fires in Busan, there's been growing interest in fire safety facilities.
Yes.
So the Busan Fire and Disaster Headquarters says it's running an online portal called Fire Safety at a Glance, 우리 아파트 화재 안전 한눈에 보기, which allows people to check their fire safety facilities in their buildings and to plan evacuation route.
Yes, this is really important. So how detailed is this information?
It launched in July last year, so the site covers about 1,000 apartment complexes. Over 7,200 buildings in total. It shows rooftop access, escape devices, sprinklers, and evacuation spaces with actual photos.
Okay.
And you only need to type 2 letters of your apartment names into the search box to pull up the full details. There's also videos that shows how to use each of the safety devices.
It does sound really practical. So how did they set all of this up?
So to build a site, they worked with Busan City's new media office by using data from apartment offices. For apartment without their own office,
Yes.
they're going to add the information if the residents makes a request. So the whole goal here is, as Busan Fire officials put it, residents could use it to check their own buildings and plan a family evacuation route and ultimately make their homes safer.
Which is, of course, the goal for everybody. It should be. So thanks for sharing this good information with our listeners. All right, what's next?
Well, Busan City says it has imposed a residential tax on about 1.5 million cases this August, totaling 47.2 billion won. And the deadline to pay, September 1st.
Okay, so let's go over who exactly has to pay.
It applies to households with an address in Busan as of July 1st, as well as foreigners who stayed in the city for over a year.
Yes.
But there are a few exceptions. If you're on basic benefits, minors, or unmarried people under the age of 30, and living alone, you don't have to pay.
Ah, I see. And what about businesses?
As for businesses, any cooperation with an office in Busan, or small business owners who made more than 80 million won last year, they need to pay too.
And so both households and businesses, they need to actually keep that deadline in mind once again. So how can people actually pay this tax?
Paying is fairly easy. You can use an app called Smart Retex, Internet Giro, Retex Online, Virtual Account, ARS phone payment, ATMs, and Kakao Pay.
It does sound like they're making it trying to make it convenient. So
Yes.
giving you different ways to look it up and to pay, right?
Yes.
Yes. Anything else? So on that note, for that item, we're going to leave that there. And by the way, you should probably get it in the mail or whatnot, right? Let's go on to our next item.
Well, Kimhae Airport is building a second departure hall. And during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC summit, later this year, it will be used just for world leaders and their delegations.
Ah, yes. And can you remind us when this is happening?
The summit runs from the end of October into early November.
Right?
For that period, the new hall will have full customs, immigration, and quarantine, or CIQ staff, so they can pass through quickly without waiting around.
So it's basically, I guess, for like the delegates. So Kimhae will basically be the main gateway for APEC visitors heading to Gyeongju?
Exactly. Most of the leaders and their teams heading to Gyeongju will fly in and out through Kimhae Airport.
Yes.
Earlier this month, the Prime Minister came down to check on preparations. He told officials to make sure there's enough parking stands for safe aircraft and to keep the construction on track so it's finished by September.
Yes, it sounds like a big push, but I'm curious, what happens after the summit?
Straight after APEC, the extra staff will return to their normal duties. So the second hall won't be open right away. The plan is to start using it for ordinary passengers early next year, once more staffs are in place.
Yes. Well, that should help with like the long lines, correct?
Exactly. At the moment, Kimhae Airport has one passageway to enter the security area, so severe congestions occurs at some time.
Yes.
A second hall should really ease that pressure.
Well, what about arrivals? Any changes there?
Yes, the second arrivals hall, which was built last year, used to open only in the mornings due to staff shortages.
Right.
But from the 11th of the August, it has opened in the afternoons as well from 3 to 5.
I see. So it does sound like the airport expanding its capacity ahead of the summit. So thanks for the heads up on this. All right, let's get to our final story. What's this one about?
In Busan, a father of 3 who makes a living by collecting scrap paper has once again left behind a box of gifts for children just before the Liberation Day.
Yes.
According to Bukgu District, he left the box in front of the Dokcheon police station on the 13th.
And what was inside?
So inside was a handwritten letter, some ramen, biscuit, and 31,000 won.
And did he say why he was doing this?
In his letter, the man introduced himself as a father of 3 children who live on basic benefit. It says it was a second anniversary of his mother's death, and he wanted to spend a special day with his family with the money he saved by selling a paper.
I see. That's really a moving story. Tell us a little bit more.
He also explained that on Children's Day, he couldn't afford to buy sweets, and he stayed on his mind. So this time he made sure to get them.
Yes, so this isn't the first time, right?
Yes, he has done the same thing more than 10 times already, like on Children's Day, at Christmas, always leaving behind boxes of the snacks and noodles and disappear. And those gifts will be going to neighbors in need.
What an amazing gesture, showing that you don't have to be rich to be able to donate back to society. So thank you for ending on that note, and of course we'll check in with you tomorrow. Welcome back, Sejin.
Thank you so much. See
All
you
right,
tomorrow.
let's get to our traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다. Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
It's now 7:19 on this Monday morning. Let's check out the roads right now. The Dongso overpass looks congested from Hwangyang ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate. Also, traffic detected on Mandakdero from Sukdung to Deokcheon intersection. Byeonglo looks slow right now from Taeyeon Tunnel to Gwangan Tunnel. And looking slow also on Luno Samsungdero from Byungji Underpass to Shino Bridge. Currently, it's 27 degrees Celsius under sunny skies here in Busan. It's going to go up to 31 today. And Busan City is under a special heat wave report, Pogyeom Tukbo, right now. Looking across the nation, cloudy and raining in parts of the capital area, Gangwon, Jeonnam, and Jeju. It's still hot across the country with the daytime highs expected to go up to 34 degrees in some areas. And this was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good weekend.
I did. We traveled a little bit because I just in the spirit of Liberation Day, enjoying what Korea has to offer now.
Sure.
And yeah, so we went to Chungnam area.
Ooh.
So we went kind of far. So yeah, that was really nice.
Good.
Had a lot of 밤. Chestnuts. Because 공주 밤. Yes.
Hey, speaking of traveling, do you whip out the app?
Yes. It's basically a part of my brain. So what I lack in directional, it's funny that the question assumes that some people would have those instincts. It's a wild speculation, which I do not. So yeah, a part of my brain that lacks that part is on my map application.
I see.
With lots of stars of places that I want to go. So my goal is to basically have so many to go to places that any city I would go, I'd have a place to go to within a block.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Working on it.
Yes. We need that Haley map up. For our first story, we actually commemorated Liberation Day already, but we're going to go back because there were some remarks from both Seoul and Tokyo.
And it is important to look upon those remarks as kind of a way to look forward to where the governments are headed.
Okay.
So both President Lee Jae-myung and Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru issued their respective statements with the first repentance from the Prime Minister in over a decade. But let's first start with South Korea, where there was a Liberation Day celebration held. And during the speech, President Lee Jae-myung mentioned that there are still many people suffering from what happened in the past. He mentioned that he looks forward to Japan's government facing such painful history and making efforts so that the two countries' trust won't be damaged.
Yes.
So he definitely mentioned the past. However, if you parse into the remarks, he didn't mention direct issues like forced labor mobilization and sexual slavery. He also said that Japan is our neighbor and we share a yard with them and an inseparable partner in economic development. So the Japanese media actually assessed the speech as one that was more toned down on criticism but expressed desire for betterment of relations.
I see. Well, what about Japan's side, their statement?
Right, so let's go to Tokyo, where Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru mentioned reflecting and repenting upon war during a memorial ceremony for the fallen hosted by the government. So Ishiba said that he will never repeat the devastation of war and stated that one must deeply remember and repent from the lessons of war. So according to Japanese media outlets, his predecessor, Kishida Fumio, he did mention quote-unquote lessons and adding repentance, 반성, is a step forward from the new government.
Okay.
So this is actually the first time that a Japanese prime minister mentioned repentance since 1994. And actually that mention of repentance did continue for some time, but then Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, former Prime Minister Abe, stopped this practice back in 2013, thus the first time in over a decade.
Yes.
So Ishiba, for his part, he's considered to be a more dovish figure within the Conservative Party. However, due to internal party politics, including a recent parliamentary election defeat, the prime minister did not issue a written statement regarding this repentance or even the war. And by the way, this written statement usually comes out every 10 years, and this year would have been the 80th.
I see.
However, the mention of repentance still reflects upon his, at least personal historical awareness.
So, it seems that, that was his statement, but not all Japanese politicians have that attitude.
Right. Not all share that attitude because for one, Agriculture Minister Koizumi Shinshiro, he visited the controversial Yaskuni shrine on the 15th and paid his respects. This is, of course, where multiple Class A war criminals are buried. And it's always been a point of tension, not only with South Korea, but many other Pacific and Asian nations.
Right.
So Prime Minister Ishiba did not visit in person, but he did send offerings under his name. So upon this, the South Korean government issued a strong regret regarding this action. There are, by the way, talks of Prime Minister Ishiba potentially stepping down again after the parliamentary election losses. And both figures who are named as likely successors, Koizumi and Takaichi Sanae, visited the Yaskuni shrine.
All right. Well, we're going to move to this next story. It's connected to what I mentioned earlier, the multiple facets that go into family planning.
Right. Such a complicated issue. So the government, both central government and local governments, they give childbirth incentives,
Yes.
출산장려금, or baby bonuses, sometimes they're called. And they do take massive budget. They take large amounts of money in order to try to solve the low birth rate problem.
Yes.
But there's been one study that says this may not be as effective as the government might hope. Right. So this is by the Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs. Their report on the effect of these cash benefits
Yes.
to encourage individual behavioral changes. So to be clear, these cash incentive child benefits, they did have positive impacts on encouraging families that already have a child or children to have additional kids.
Okay.
However, for childless families, it didn't really have a clear impact on getting them started. So the researchers analyzed that a family's decision to have kids, it was more dependent on things like long-term income and spending perspectives.
Right.
Especially on the cost of raising kids, the top concern being private education.
So, were researchers able to quantify this?
Right, actually they did. So there were negative impacts from increased private education spending and the positive impacts, benefits from child care incentives or childbirth incentives. However, these negative impacts were 7 times greater than the positive impact. Also, women's economic productivity was a big factor. Interestingly, the more successful a woman was in her career in terms of income and stability, the less likely she was to have kids due to concerns about losing said career.
Sure.
So the Research Institute pointed to factors like housing support, youth job support, and creating an overall society that's conducive to raising children as these clear but difficult answers.
Yes.
The government, it seems that it is partially cognizant of this issue because the local government's childbirth incentive for last year, the budget actually went down by about 179 billion won. And experts do see this as a positive sign that policy is shifting more towards long-term support rather than the short-term cash stipends.
I see. Very interesting to get the details on this family planning. All right, we're going to move on for now and talk about housing, especially the decrease in the number of homeowners.
Right. So, and a corresponding increase in renters, especially monthly renters, 월세. So this is according to the Supreme Court's registry information. There are over 1,056,000 confirmed monthly rent 월세 contracts that were signed as of July. This is actually a huge jump. Let's compare that to the figure from 2017. 761,000 monthly rentals. The figure figure exceeded 1 million to 1.4 million back in 2022. Now, just for the first 7 months of the year, we're looking at well over 1 million.
Okay.
So this year, the monthly rental figures have been increasing at an exponential and explosive rate. And now these 월세 monthly rentals account for 60% of the total housing leases.
So I'm thinking this also means that the 전세 proportions then on the flip side are going down?
Absolutely. So 전세 is a housing practice that's unique, fairly unique to South Korea.
Yes.
These are lump sum deposits that you give at the beginning of your usually 2-year contract. You get the money back.
Right.
So they were, once upon a time, a more popular option. However, for the first time this year, 전세s have fallen to a 30% range at 38. Compare that to 59% from just 2020.
Really?
That's a huge decrease. So this reversal in the 전세 long-term to monthly 월세 preference, that actually began in 2020, 5 years ago, when the new Housing Lease Act, 임대차법, went into effect. That gave more rights to renters to renew their leases. That increase in demand, it led to a corresponding spike in 전세 prices. So people just couldn't afford to pay the heightened rates. They had to seek out monthly rent. And then, of course, there were the rental scams that really turned people off. And then now the new administration's loan regulations, that also led to a decrease in 전세 homes on the market because people just cannot afford to take out loans for the long-term deposits.
Yes.
Well, here's the problem, is that 전세 and 월세, both the long-term and monthly rates, they've been going up at the same time. And while 전세 was previously seen as kind of the stepping stone between renting and eventually owning your own home,
Right.
with that middle step now gone, we are looking at two extremes in the housing market.
Right.
So to that end, in Seoul, where home prices have been going up at a fairly steep rate, over 51% of all households were renters as opposed to homeowners.
I see. Very interesting, we'll say, all the factors and facts of the housing market right now. We're going to turn our attention to international news, to the highly anticipated summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Right. So the summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, it did take place in Anchorage, Alaska on August 15th local time, where Trump, he did literally roll out the red carpet for the Russian leader. However, in short, if we're just looking at the conclusion, not much was achieved in terms of a ceasefire, whether that be temporary or permanent. And the summit actually did end earlier than scheduled. In a post-summit press briefing, Putin said that Russia is committed to ending the war. However, the conflict's, quote, primary causes must be eliminated for an agreement to be long-lasting.
Yes.
And now we're getting more reports that basically territorial exchanges were discussed, for Russia giving up a small amount of land for a larger amount of land in exchange from Ukraine.
Sure.
He actually also, Putin, criticized Ukraine and the European Union for attempting to use, quote, backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. Trump, for his part, praised the meeting was extremely productive, but there was still some sticking points.
Okay.
Trump also didn't mention Ukraine or the ceasefire once during the press conference. Other smaller but interesting notable points, we did see two very rare moments for the Russian president.
Yes.
So Putin was actually asked point blank by a journalist, quote, will you stop killing civilians? Right. This was right after he landed on the tarmac. This never really happens in Russia, as Putin and the Kremlin, they have a very tight control over the press.
Yes.
And Putin, for his part, just literally shrugged it off. Also, at the end of the press briefing, when President Trump said to Putin, I'll probably see you again very soon, and President Putin responded in English, which we also rarely hear from him, next time in Moscow. So to that, Trump kind of, he laughed and said that's an interesting one, that he'll get a little heat on that if he were to visit Moscow, but also said he could see that potentially happening. By the way, for more details and analysis of what really went down, tune in to our special interview in hour number 2.
Yes, because we're going to have details and analysis from our special expert, Professor William Muck. And now, round 2 of the talks are planned at the White House with the Ukrainian president.
Right. So Volodymyr Zelensky is traveling to Washington, D.C. for a meeting with Trump on Monday local time. Prior to this, Zelensky met with European leaders via a virtual meeting, including leaders from the UK, France, and Germany. Some of the European leaders are actually coming to DC with him to meet with Trump. So basically, their goal is to get a direct answer from Trump on how much the U.S. can participate in Ukraine's security guarantees.
Yes. So we will see what happens in the future about these talks. But thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
All right, we're due for a song break, and this is a song request by Benny, Maps by Maroon 5, in keeping with our text topic.
I miss the taste of the sweet life. I miss the conversation. I'm searching for a song tonight. I'm changing all of the stations. I like to think that we had it all. We drew a map to a better place. But on that road I took a fall. Oh baby, why did you run away? I was there for you in your darkest times. I was there for you in your darkest night. But I wonder where we are when I was out my worst down on my knees. And you said you had my back, so I wonder where we are. All the roads you took came back to me. So I'm following the map that leads to you. The map that leads to you. Ain't nothing I can do. The map that leads to you. Following to you. The map that leads to you. Ain't nothing I can do. The map that leads to you. Following. I hear your voice in my sleep at night. Hard to resist temptation. 'Cause something strange has come over me. Now I can't get over you. No, I just can't get over you. I was there for you in your darkest times. I was there for you in your darkest night. But I wonder where we are when I was out my worst down on my knees. And you said you had my back, so I wonder where we are. All the roads you took came back to me. So I'm following the map that leads to you. The map that leads to you. Ain't nothing I can do. The map that leads to you. Following to you. The map that leads to you. Ain't nothing I can do. The map that leads to you. Oh. Yeah. I was there for you, in your darkest time. I was there for you, in your darkest night. I was there for you, in your darkest time. I was there for you, in your darkest night. But I wonder where we are when I was out my worst down on my knees. And you said you had my back, so I wonder where we are. All the roads you took came back to me. So I'm following the map that leads to you. The map that leads to you. Ain't nothing I can do. The map that leads to you. Following to you. The map that leads to you. Ain't nothing I can do. The map that leads to you. Following.
Welcome back. That was a song request once again from Benny. So it really does go hand in hand with our text topic. Today we're talking about this. Like when you go somewhere new, do you automatically like turn on that map app and like, 맛집 찾기 and all that? Or do you kind of roam around, go with the flow? Are you spontaneous like that? Or are you a planner? Do you plan everything out? Well, some of you have responded. 고수 says, 저는 새로운 곳을 가면 막 다녀보면서 어디에 무엇이 있는지 확인한답니다. 지도를 켜고 가는 게 익숙하지 않아서 주변을 둘러보면서 제가 있는 곳이 어디쯤인지 확인 후 지도를 본답니다. Oh, so 고수 basically he kind of checks out like the vicinity of where he is and he kind of acclimates himself. This is where I am. And then he peruses out and then he turns on the map. That's very interesting. All right. What about Michael Kim who says 지난주 일본 구마모토에 갔었는데 효율적으로 여행 가기 위해 구땡 맵을 켜고 맛집도 찾아다니고 명소도 찾고 했대요. So basically, he visited Japan and he definitely made good use of that particular map app. And he went to all the hot, restaurants and great places as well. So I guess different strokes for different folks, right? As they say. And now we're going to get into cultural interlude. It's time to say hello to Michael Kang for Cultural Interlude. How are you?
Good.
Good. I know you're
Okay.
You were
I'm a
up.
little bit tired. I have to be honest
You
with
were
you
up all
because
night
I was up
working.
all night yesterday working.
Were you like inspired? Was there like something that came up and
I
it was
mean,
like you gotta write?
yeah. So by the end of this week, there's a whole new musical coming up, and I have to wrap up my scoring, so composing. So I had to write like 3 songs in a row. So I saw the sunrise and then slept like, I don't know, 20 minutes before I got
Only
on the
20
first train.
minutes?
Yeah, to get here.
Oh, no.
But it's good. I mean, it's better than nothing, right?
20
I tried
minutes,
to keep
I guess
it
is better
positive.
than nothing.
It was actually, I don't know, like waking up was very bad today. Like I had a really, yeah. But anyways, I'm good considering.
Yes.
Yeah. all
Considering,
this, yeah.
I want to get your take on this whole, like, if you go somewhere new, 새로운 데 가시면, like, do you turn on the map app or
Yeah.
do you like to kind of roam around?
I never roam around because I never trust myself. I've done that before. I tried it, and I ran into some really huge consequences.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like I would roam about and like I would get lost for sure. I don't know where I am, and I can't go back to where I was.
Oh.
Like so-called 길치. I am like one of those really, really severe, super bad 길치.
Oh, you're directionless. Many of us are.
Directionless,
It's
yes.
okay.
So I always hang on to my map app. And I tend to trust like those reviews they have on like restaurants and stuff.
You do?
Yeah. Surprisingly.
So,
Because like I don't know, like it's too stressful to be like taking time to verify each and every comment every time
Sure,
I have to go to a restaurant. Now 너무 귀찮아요. I just have to go there and just try the restaurant out myself.
Sure.
And I think 6 out of 10.
It's pretty good.
No, it's like all the wrong decisions. But
10번 중에 6번, not good
10번 중에
decisions.
6번은 실패합니다. 네.
Oh.
하지만 but there is always the remaining 4, right? That works out.
That's
And,
true.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like I'm a very positive guy. Yeah. And that's how I do it.
We have a comment for you.
Yes?
People that are worried. Layla, are you sure you're okay? 두태미나님, 미모 유지 위해서 방송 끝나고 beauty sleep 하세요. 라고?
감사합니다. Beauty sleep 하겠습니다.
Yes.
네.
Okay.
Not just any sleep, beauty sleep.
Beauty
Yeah,
sleep. That's
what I do.
important. All right, let's jump into what you have for us for Cultural Interlude today.
Yeah, so 3 days ago,
Yes.
we all remember what day that was. It was August 15th, and Korea marked 광복절.
That's right.
Yes, Liberation Day. That's when, in 1945, the Korean people emerged from decades of Japanese colonial rule.
Sure.
This year is very significant also because it stands at the crossroads of history. 80 years since the end of the Second World War, because, Second World War ended in 1945.
Yes.
And 75 years since the outbreak of the Korean War in 1950.
That's right.
So anniversaries like these aren't just dates on a calendar. They're living reminders asking us who we are and where we must go next.
That's right.
And I like to bring you to a summary of a concert that I went, which was built around that very question. And it's called Never Forgotten 815. 815. Never Forgotten.
Right.
Resurrection of Light. It's a cinematic concert that took place at the Hanul Theater of the National Theater of Korea, 국립극장 in Seoul on August 15th. So there were interviews, original music, and stagecraft combined to create one continuous journey through memory.
Yes.
So what's so significant about this concert out of so many that took place on that day? The show's creator and music director is Michael Choi, legal name Choi Won-young. 36 years old, a film music composer from Busan, who believes music is the decisive force that moves an audience. He set out to build a stage that goes beyond simple remembrance, not just what happened, but who are we now, and where should we go from here?
Yes.
He aimed to build an intergenerational bridge, a space where elders and young people can hear one another. So this concert gathered a chorus of voices, descendants of independence activists, Korean War veterans, North Korean escapees,
Yes.
and young people reflecting on what the past means to them. Their interviews, filmed and woven through the performance, guide the music like constellations in a night sky.
Wow. I like the intro already, the backdrop of what you're giving us.
Yeah.
Right. So, first of all, a composer from Busan.
Yes.
Stepping up for such an amazing initiative. So, let's get his story, though.
Yeah. So Michael Tre's journey to this project passes through an unexpected place, and that's Wisconsin, USA.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, very random.
Right.
But hear me out, okay?
Okay.
So he spent his school years there. That region actually sent a number of service members to the Korean War.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So even decades later, he found himself surrounded by reminders through community center ceremonies, quiet acts of respect, efforts to support or adopt war orphans, and ties to the Korean community.
Yes.
He often noted that in Korea, remembrance can sometimes feel formal or politicized. In his town in Wisconsin, he saw something else. The everyday gestures of regard, small and very deeply human.
Oh.
And he wondered, could a culture of sincere, everyday remembrance take deeper root in Korea? If the language of politics divides us, perhaps the language of music can gather us. It was also his family history that called him to his work. Michael's grandmother carried the scars of war as well, as many of us, I think many of our grandparents did.
Yes.
On the run during the Korean War, she lost her own mother. And for most of her life, she spoke little of that time. Only when her health declined just a few years ago did she share the story with her grandson. The memory was very heavy. The love behind it, immeasurable. It's one thing to study history, it's another to feel its weight placed gently, privately into your hands by someone you love. So that handing over changes you, and Michael channeled that inheritance into music, and in 2023 launched the first Never Forgotten concert. He currently leads Sorina Studio in Busan, composing for film and games. After studies in film and fine arts in Chicago, and then a master's in film and game scoring at Berkeley.
Yes.
But this project, he said, brought his callings together, which is composition as a way to remember, and remembrance as a way to heal.
I see. What a fascinating story, his journey into this project. But I remember you said something a little while ago. You said it was a cinematic concert. So what exactly is a cinematic concert?
Yeah, so just try to imagine a stage where documentary interviews and original compositions basically converse. So like, for example, a line from an elder opens a door, a theme enters, piano, strings, and percussion stepping carefully into the space left by that voice.
Okay.
Lights shift on screen, an image of a family photograph. Then the music answers, not in words, but in tone, color, breath.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for this edition, Michael and his team met 17 people and recorded their stories. Truthful, very personal accounts rather than textbook lectures.
Okay.
I was actually there, and I was actually very surprised to see, find all these insights.
Okay.
That from, so many people.
Sure.
And after you hear each voice, you hear a piece crafted from its emotion and theme. The result is not a timeline, but a tapestry, history as felt experience. So, I'm just going to tell you the lineup, the artists who joined for this concert, and it's amazing. The stage welcomed a compelling lineup. Daniel Lindemann, the German pianist many listeners know from television in Korea, joined at the keyboard. And he actually wrote a song, his own music piece for the concert. And there was also Hwang Sang-hyuk, who is a pianist and also a North Korean defector who journeyed out of North Korea and found not just refuge here, but also a voice.
Yes.
The concert also featured the 소리꾼, or Korean traditional vocalist Kim So-won, carrying the deep tones of 판소리,
Yes.
Korea's epic vocal art, into contemporary space. There were also other composers like Kim Hyun-sub, Park Ji-min, and Kim Ji-hae who presented original works created only for that stage on August 15th. Audiences recognized the special selection by renowned composer Jung Jae-il. So Jung Jae-il, we all remember his name as the composer for Parasite and Squid Game and other beloved films.
Sure.
His piece, 대한이 살았다, often translated as Korea Lives On, resounded here as both remembrance and resolve.
Wow. So we have a fuller picture of this cinematic concert. So thanks for giving us details on this. And, Busan bringing together composers from around the country to celebrate, of course, Liberation Day in Seoul. That's both really, when you think about it, like wonderful and symbolic at the same time. So what's the way forward for this Never Forgotten series?
So this Never Forgotten series, and this year, Never Forgotten 815, Resurrection of Light, looks outward toward allies and neighbors who share the history of Korea in the 20th century.
Yes.
Because Korean War, just for example, like if we just take Korean War, for example, it's not just about Korea when we talk about this war, right? So many people, so many countries were involved fighting in this terrible, war. And we have to remember that. So Michael's years in the United States gave him a close view of American veterans who carried Korea in their memories long after the fighting stopped. He recalls everyday ceremonies that weren't grand but were sincere, a kind of respect that says, we remember you because you are ours. The concert's hope is to multiply that kind of care in schools, in homes, in local halls, and rehearsal rooms until remembrance becomes part of the air we breathe. So this is significant. Not only Michael is from Busan, and he is very active in Busan City, but he's going out to the world, bringing these memories and those things that we have to remember, basically towards the world. And in interviews, Michael also said that a composer's work is to move the human heart.
Yes.
Of all the cinematic tools, he believes music delivers the final turning of the key. That belief shapes the evening's design. Even listeners who don't consider themselves history people can simply sit in the dark, watch, and be carried by sound. So after meeting 17 participants for this edition, Michael and his creative team gathered stories, as I mentioned before, enough to grow a documentary film, actually.
Oh, okay.
And he's even looking at a larger concert anthology. And his dream even stretches toward the Grammys. I mean, he told me this personally. He is actually looking at Grammys for this. Not as a trophy chase, but as a way to send these stories further into the world.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have to remember him not only as a composer, but a person who's just like any one of us, like because my grandparents were also born in that generation when Korean War took place, and even before then, independence activists back in the Japanese colonial rule. There are descendants of those people who fought for our country.
Yes.
And these are, very important things that we have to remember. And this concert is very symbolic in a way that, the memories that we have in Busan are now brought up in the heart of the country, in Seoul, at the National Theater of Korea. And this is why I wanted to make a focus on this issue today.
Well, thank you so much for a meaningful segment today. Looking back on Liberation Day, not just for a date, like you said, August 15th, but, with every breath, as you said, right?
Yes.
That we remember. Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to next week as well. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to call it a wrap for hour number one. We have more in hour number two as well. This is All of Me by John Legend. I'll be back at 8.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. You got my head spinning, no kidding. I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Oh, how many times do I have to tell you? Even when you're crying, you're beautiful too. The world is beating you down. I'm around through every mood. You're my downfall, you're my muse, my worst distraction, my rhythm and blues. I can't stop singing, it's ringing in my head for you. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Oh, give me all of you. Cards on the table, we're both showing hearts, risking it although it's hard, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all
Your Bridge to the World.
특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
깨끗한 공기, 편리한 교통, AI로 연결된 세상까지 일상의 모든 순간 그 중심에 과학이 있습니다. 작은 호기심이 세상을 바꾸고 불가능을 가능으로 만드는 힘, 과학. 부산이 과학기술 혁신도시로 도약하고 있습니다. 과학기술, 산업, 고등교육이 파동치는 혁신도시 부산. 과학으로 한 걸음 앞서가는 부산이 대한민국의 미래를 이끕니다. 변화와 도약을 이끄는 중요한 한 걸음. 일상에 보이지 않는 곳까지 새로운 가능성을 찾아갑니다. 비스텝, 비더스텝. 이 캠페인은 부산의 과학기술, 산업, 고등교육 혁신을 선도하는 부산과학기술고등교육진흥원이 함께합니다.
It's time for the Water Activities Safety Quiz Show with me, Mike.
And me, Jessie.
Now, here is the question. On safely enjoying water activities, listen carefully and guess the right answer.
Okay.
From the following water safety measures, guess which one is correct. Number 1, always warm up before swimming or going in the water. Number 2, enter the water slowly and wear a life jacket. Number 3, never go beyond the designated swimming area. Number 4, call 119 or a lifeguard on duty if you witness drowning.
뭐지? 1번도 맞고 2번도 맞는 것 같은데.
Time is running out.
The answer is all of the above.
That is correct. All of these options are important in order to safely enjoy water activities.
If you keep them in mind, you're bound to have a great and safe summer.
Stay with BEFM this summer for a responsible beach season.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan. We begin with Spotlight News. Special counsel to summon both Kim Gun-hee and her butler. The special counsel will summon former First Lady Kim Gun-hee and her associate Kim Ye-sung, sometimes referred to as her butler, this morning for questioning into corruption allegations. Kim Ye-sung faces suspicions of allegedly having used his connections to the former First Lady for irregular investments for his firm, IMS Mobility, despite the company's poor financials. The special counsel may cross-examine them. This is Kim Gun-hee's second appearance in front of the special counsel. Kim was questioned last week over her election meddling allegations, but she reportedly refused to answer most of the questions. Joguk restarts political activities after pardon. Former minor party leader Joguk will hold his first public outing today, visiting the grave of late former President Kim Dae-jung on the 16th anniversary of his death. An official from his Rebuilding Korea party said that Joguk will re-register with the party today, 3 days after he was pardoned and reinstated. The event today is expected to be his return to politics. The main opposition, People Power Party, however, has objected to the pardon and plans on holding a parliamentary committee hearing on the issue. July marks highest heavy rain damages in a decade. The heavy rain and flooding from July 16th to 20th caused 1.848 trillion won in damages, the highest in the last decade, according to the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters. The official casualty stands at 57, with 24 dead or missing and 33 people injured. Officials counted over 4,900 homes damaged and over 30,000 hectares worth of crops damaged. The damages mark the highest in the last 10 years from natural disasters. The government will put in 2.4 trillion won for recovery efforts, including prevention methods and new infrastructure construction, as well as disaster relief for the residents of the affected areas. 2 dead, 13 injured in apartment fire in Seoul. 2 people were killed and 13 others were injured from an apartment fire in Mapogu district yesterday morning. The fire broke out on the 14th floor unit of the 20-story building at around 8:10 a.m. The victims are a woman in her 60s and her son in his 20s. The son died on the scene and the mother was taken to the hospital but pronounced dead. The fire agency said that the apartment unit where the fire started did not have sprinklers installed. The law, when the apartment was built in 1998, stipulated that for buildings 16 stories or higher, only units on or above the 16th floor must have sprinklers. The authorities are investigating the exact cause of the fire. Palestinians flee Gaza City as Israelis protest occupation plan. Thousands of residents have fled Gaza City after days of Israel's airstrikes that have killed at least 40 people across the enclave, as Israel plans to forcibly remove 1 million people from the city. Israelis have launched a nationwide one-day strike to protest the government's plans to occupy Gaza City. Israel's plans to seize Gaza City and displace its population have been condemned by the UN Security Council. And this was Spotlight News. It's time for Waglwagle. That means Haley's back in the studio. Welcome back.
Hello again.
All right. This first story, and some people were mentioning it already in our chat room on YouTube, says this is about the police accidentally provided the personal information of a stalking victim to the stalker,
including their address, which, defeats the purpose. So
Yes.
we go to Seoul's Gangsa Police, the Yeomchang precinct. They've officially apologized for the personal information leak of a stalking victim. So going back to the case at hand, the victim reported to the police saying that they've received multiple calls and text messages from a colleague, and the stalker said things like, "Did you even go to high school?" So personal attacks, quote, "I'll destroy you," and even the messages got to a sexual nature later on. So the victim filed a police report. And also the victim moved homes, and the police are in process of filing a restraining order against the stalker.
Okay.
So they were actually sending the victim a notification of the report saying that this is done. The restraining order has been filed. This notification included the victim's address. The officer in charge accidentally sent it to the stalker.
Oh my gosh.
Right. They just sent it via a text message. So the police said that the officer made a mistake in sending that notice, but the victim said that now that their address has been exposed to the stalker, but they cannot move because they just moved the address a month ago. So
Right.
it's practically impossible for them to move again.
I mean, what did the police do? Because I know maybe they apologized, but sometimes is that enough?
Right. So at least they're doing going beyond that. They've apologized to the victim. They've also helped to pay to have a CCTV installed at their home, along with paying for at least paying for private security and also increasing patrols at and around their home. The police have also provided the victim with a smartwatch, and they're checking in consistently. The police also have launched an internal audit with the officer who sent this report by mistake. It's just very unfortunate.
Yes. Well, this next story is another baffling mistake. A plane landing at the wrong airport.
At least this is more baffling than like enraging.
Yes.
However, an AirAsia flight landed at Gimpo when it was supposed to go to Incheon. So maybe like a directional mistake. I mean, I am curious. So according to reports, this is an AirAsia flight D7506. It departed from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia on August 13th. It was due to arrive at Incheon at about 7:50 p.m. later that day. However, the flight apparently lingered over the South Korean airspace for some time and landed at Gimpo at about 8:08 p.m. So about 18 minutes after it was, there was a little bit of a delay. However, here was the even puzzling part. The pilot announced, because when you land, the pilot makes an announcement, welcome to Incheon International Airport.
But it wasn't.
No, they were at Gimpo. Yeah. So even the flight attendants didn't realize that they were at Gimpo. So, I mean, because there are processes. You just don't it's not like parking. You go through the air traffic controls.
Yes.
So
there's protocol.
There's protocol. Again, this is an airplane. So the plane stayed at Gimpo for about 2 hours and then flew to Incheon.
So we got to know what happened.
We would love to know that. So investigation is ongoing. An official from AirAsia said that the reason plane landed at Gimpo was because of turbulence while it was doing the over air hovering. The plane also refueled while they were at Gimpo.
Okay.
However, the headquarters is checking over why the flight attendants and even the pilot did not realize that they were at Incheon.
That's a big mistake,
That is
though.
a big mistake.
Not knowing where you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, a teenager died in a bicycle accident with this type of a bike having been under scrutiny for some time.
Right. So we covered this issue with the Pixie bikes a couple months ago. So these are fixed gear bicycles.
Yes.
They're intended for athletes inside arenas or tracks, so indoors, because they can reach really high speeds and shift directions quickly. But one of the reasons they are able to do so is because they don't have brakes. So because you can see from its nature, it's fixed gear, no gears, no brakes. But because of this, they are extremely dangerous on the roads. But we do see them so much. They're the really, really thin bicycles.
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere as they become kind of a form of street culture amongst teenagers and preteens.
Yes.
But according to the police, a middle school aged boy, he died while riding this fixie bike. He was going down a hill in Seoul earlier this month. But again, because of the lack of brakes, he couldn't slow down the bike and crashed into an air conditioning outdoor unit. Yeah.
And ultimately died, as you said, right?
He did.
So how are the police going to crack down against these type of bikes?
Right. So there was a whole legal issue until now because the bikes were not legally classified as bicycles because to be so, you need to have gears and brakes. They were in this gray area over whether they could be ridden on roads for vehicles. Well, that's going to change now. So the police said that they will crack down against riding of these fixie bikes on vehicle roads as a violation of safe driving. So after this accident, the police made a ruling that these fixie bikes will now be classified as vehicles. And under the rules that now can apply the law that these devices must be driven with brakes. So having a vehicle or a device with no brakes is illegal. So the police will also run patrols around schools just in time for the new semester to begin.
Yes.
They will start with warnings for those under 18 and also because they're minors, alert their parents.
Right.
So if the parents don't take appropriate action after multiple warnings, the police said that the parents may be prosecuted as well for negligence or neglect in child abuse laws. The police will also go after these bike groups like 동호회 on weekends and holidays and ask for active cooperation by both the parents and schools.
Right. And as one of our listeners, 두둥 was saying, 개인적으로 픽시를 사주는 부모님도 이해가 잘 안 갑니다. However, I'm not defending those parents, but some teenagers, they buy the bikes on secondhand, platforms without letting their parents know.
And also sometimes
they hide them.
Parents don't know.
Exactly.
Because, for example, if they're not bikers themselves, they're just like, oh, that's a cute little, very lightweight
sleek bike.
Yeah, it's a sleek bike. And
Right.
the kids obviously not going to say, oh, these don't have brakes. So now we know.
So
hopefully they
check.
will know. Yes,
Check.
yes.
All right, for the last story, a driver in Switzerland is facing 150 million won fine for speeding. So we need to know, oh my gosh, how fast were they going?
Yeah, so that's 1억 5천만 원. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's,
Okay.
I mean, it is a little about how fast they were going, but it's also about how rich this person is.
Okay.
Interesting. So this driver in Switzerland was going 27 kilometers per hour over the speed limit of 50. So he was going at 77 on a 50 kilometer per hour road.
Okay.
And now he faces up to 90,000 Swiss francs or about 150 million won in fines. So the court, actually, the regional court, ordered a driver to pay 10,000 francs up front. That's about 1,700만 원. But if he receives another speeding ticket of similar nature, similar speed within the next 3 years, he might have to pay additional 80,000 francs.
Wow.
So he was caught with a similar speeding infraction about 8 years ago. So it's a habitual thing.
Okay.
At which point he had to pay 10,000 francs up front. He had a 2-year probation on additional 60,000 francs. So the reason, he is one of the wealthiest people in the country. And this particular region imposes fines based on factors like your income, fortune, or general family financial situation.
Wow.
So no,
Okay.
you do not get fined 1억 5천만 원 just for speeding in Switzerland in general.
Okay.
So he was named as one of the, at one point, 300 wealthiest people in the country. He's actually a French national, but he acquired Swiss citizenship. He did not object to the ruling.
Oh.
I know. I know.
Like-
know. Yeah.
Sure, go ahead. Well, there are other countries that also have the system, I hear.
Right. So its neighbors, Germany, France, Austria, and some Nordic countries do have punishments based on a person's wealth, which is really interesting. By the way, for Switzerland, apparently they are very, very strict against speeding. And maybe this is why he didn't object to it. Because back in 2010, a millionaire driver who was driving, and this is new, so I'll say it, a Ferrari.
Okay.
He got a ticket that's equal to about $290,000 for speeding. And I had to do a triple take. That's over his 하억원.
For a speeding ticket.
That's a home. That is a house. By the way, in Switzerland, just to give you an idea of how strict penalties for speeding is,
Yes.
an officer, so a cop, was fined for racing at twice the speed limit, and he wasn't even taking a joyride through Geneva. He
Okay.
was chasing bank robbers. But
he was fined?
He got fined. We don't know. I mean, this is just what CNN reported, so I do want to do a little bit of research on whether the cop wound up paying the fine. But I'm just saying this is how strict the laws are. So if you ever do go to Switzerland, I don't know, walk, I guess.
Yeah, don't drive.
Bike. Yeah.
Well, thank you for going over all the Woggly stories, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. And now let's get to your updated traffic and weather report. It is now 14 past the hour. Here's your traffic update. First up, we have an accident on Ulsukdo-대로 from Changpyeong Underpass to Ulsukdo Bridge, right past the Changpyeong Underpass. There's another collision, a 3-car collision on Buam Overpass going toward Jinyang intersection. It is congested on Chunyeoldaero from Minam to Naseong intersection and again to Mandak Tunnel number 2. It is slow moving on Byeongno from the old Banyo-toge to Suyang Tunnel. And also inching forward on Gahejae게 from Kaegum to Jure intersection right now. Currently it's 29 degrees Celsius under sunny skies here in Busan. It's expected to go up to 33 today. Busan City is under a special heat wave report, 폭염특보. Across the nation, cloudy and raining in parts of the capital area, Gangwon, Cheonnam, and Jeju. And it's still hot across the country. Some areas going up to 34 today. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for a special interview. A high-stakes summit unfolded in Anchorage, Alaska, the first on U.S. soil in 10 years of this kind. Marking the historic nature of the meeting, a red carpet was rolled out to welcome Russian President Vladimir Putin. And U.S. President Donald Trump stressed that an immediate ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine was the summit's top priority. Well, let's find out more about what happened, what went down. We have joining us once again Professor William Muck, Professor of Political Science and Coordinator of Global Studies at North Central College. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Always so good to be with you.
Yes. Well, first of all, could you explain what was discussed? Do we know the details of what was discussed during the summit between President Trump and President Putin? And just some details of what went down.
Yeah, so the idea was that they were going to discuss the potential end of the Russia-Ukraine war. But unlike all other summits, they hadn't worked out any details before. Normally for a summit like this, it'd be months of work in advance, getting all of the details and agreements together. And then basically it's, the end is just symbolism. There was very, very little preparation. So then after the summit, it really looked like nothing much happened. Both came out. There was no ceasefire deal. Sort of seemed like it wasn't a big deal. But then on Saturday, President Trump came out and tweeted that he was now considering this. The goal should be some grand peace agreement between the United States, Ukraine, and Russia. So fundamentally shifting from this goal, as you mentioned, of a ceasefire. And this caused ripples around the world. And we can kind of dive into the details on that because that was a big deal because we saw a 180-degree shift in the Trump administration. Going in, it was all about getting a ceasefire. Leaving, it was no longer about a ceasefire, but some grand agreement between all the parties.
And why do you think that there was a shift? Was it, we can only speculate, obviously, maybe Putin digging his heels in? Can we speculate as to why?
It's so hard to know, but I think we can say at one level we have two individuals here, Trump and Putin, who are trying to manipulate each other. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard to say that President Trump wasn't manipulated here because he came in with one position and before the meeting had said, you know, if Putin doesn't give me a ceasefire, there's going to be consequences. And then a day after the meeting, he's fully in agreement with the Russian position on this. So, you know, there's a lot of things I would love. You want to be a fly on the wall to see how those conversations play out. But this couldn't have gone any better for President Putin.
Indeed. So can you give us your perspective on the significance of this summit in Alaska, why it matters in the current relationship between the U.S. and Russia?
Well, it's always big just because these are the two biggest nuclear powers in the world, right? So that in and of itself is significant. But I think as we step away from this, what this summit symbolized was the return of Russia and Vladimir Putin. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Putin has really been a pariah around the world, and nobody's been willing to deal with him. So Donald Trump literally rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin was a dramatic shift, smiling and clapping and laughing together. That legitimizes Putin in a way that he had not been able to have up until this point. And the news coverage in Russia of this pointed out that Putin was the grand victor and had to give up nothing, right? So I think we could think about this as the return and the legitimization of a Vladimir Putin, which I would suggest is deeply problematic, but I think that's part of what happened here.
Yes. So even in your opinion, Professor, do you think that this was a huge win that Putin and Russia were the grand victors of the summit?
At least in the short term, right? Especially as we think about the result that's come since then. So now on Monday, Zelensky is going to fly to D.C. and meet with Donald Trump. And no longer is it just Zelensky, but now you have a number, 5 or 6 major European leaders. So the Macron from France and the leader of Germany and Italy, the head of NATO, the head of the EU, all of these individuals are now coming with Zelensky to meet with Trump. And I think that suggests that this rattled Europe, right? The Trump's 180-degree shift rattled Europeans and made them question where the United States is in all this. So, immediately afterwards, it didn't seem like much came from the summit, but then the fallout has been quite dramatic.
Yes. So I hear that President Trump has suggested even a trilateral or multilateral summit, including Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. So in your estimation, how feasible is this? Is the timing ripe for this type of trilateral or multilateral summit?
I don't think we're there yet because there's so many issues still to be worked out. If we think about where, Vladimir Putin and Russia is, they haven't moved an inch from 3 years ago. The speech that Putin gave when they invaded Ukraine, that position is still the position he's embracing today, that Ukraine needs to disarm, no longer be a member of NATO. NATO countries need to be rolled back. So Russia hasn't moved at all. Ukraine has been a little bit more open to negotiations of land for security agreements, but the parties are still so far away that those trilateral agreements are good when you get closer, but these parties are still far, far away from any kind of meaningful long-term agreement.
Yes. Previously, it seemed, at least to the layperson, that President Donald Trump was siding with Putin and then stepping away from that and having Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, having his ear, and then the summit again. So where are we on this? I mean, do you think that the U.S. and the leader of the U.S., President Trump, can really forge ties and try to negotiate, maybe not a ceasefire, but at least this larger plan that he talks about?
I don't know, because Trump likes the symbolic victories. He likes for things to look good. He likes to look presidential. But any kind of agreement like this, it requires just hard work. And that's not the kind of president he is, right? It takes months of behind-the-scenes negotiations and dealing with all parties and being consistent in your messaging. Day by day, Donald Trump is very different in what he's saying. Now, tomorrow he's going to meet with Zelensky and the European leaders. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a different message after that. And it's really difficult for the world to look to the United States for consistency when the leader of that world is jumping back and forth on positions, right? That's why it really is stunning that so many European leaders are coming with Zelensky tomorrow. And it's a sign that they don't know what to make of. And they think this is so important that they have to be in person and defending Zelensky. Again, really extraordinary stuff.
Yes. And so that term consistency, Professor, that you just mentioned, even credibility, with the U.S. and its credibility, it seems, on the line, and even the relationships with allies from NATO, from Europe, etc. How do you think this will affect all those relationships?
These European leaders won't say it out loud, but this was devastating. They were so upset what Donald Trump was doing the last couple days. And there have been other pundits who've been referring back to Munich and appeasement. I don't think it goes that far, but I think that's the waves that this is causing. I mean, heads of state are busy people, and for them just to get up and come to D.C. with Zelensky suggests how terrified they are of where the United States position is, and then what this means long term in terms of defending against Russia, but also dealing with challengers like China. So the world looks to the United States for stability and credibility. And I think the meeting on Friday with Putin really scared a lot of defenders of democracy around the world, saying, where is the United States on these issues?
Yes. And so do we know what might be on the plate, on the agenda for this last minute, I guess, trip with Zelensky plus the European leaders meeting with Donald Trump?
I think what the conversation they're going to have is to remind Donald Trump why a ceasefire is so important. And it's worth some time to think about this, right? So the reason Ukraine wants this is that if they don't get a ceasefire and they continue to try to negotiate, that plays into Russia's hand. So these European leaders are going to say, it's so important that we stop the fighting, then go to the table. We can't continue to fight and negotiate. So that will be the primary issue that they're going to put on Donald Trump's plate tomorrow, is to remind him this is a central issue for Europe, and it should also be a central issue for the United States.
Yes. Well, we await that summit, that meeting as well. Plus, of course, the aftermath of what might be said or announced after that. So thank you so much for coming on air with us and explaining what went down in Alaska. Thank you, Professor.
Always good to be with you.
This was Professor William Muck, and we talked about this summit in Alaska between the U.S. and Russia. And as the professor pointed out, tomorrow they are due to have another high-stakes meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, with the heads of state of other European nations as well, to sit down with President Trump, and we'll bring you the latest. All right, we are due for a song break, so here it is. This is Esang by Cool.
너를 이토록 사랑하며
It is now time for News in Depth. We have Claire in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good weekend.
Oh, lovely weekend.
Always too short, right?
I know. This one especially, yes.
Yes. Well, our text topic today, when you go somewhere new, are you the type of person where you like automatically, your map app comes out and you're trying to plan and, just plan where you're going to go to eat, what you're going to do, or are you kind of adventurous and you just kind of wander out and say, hey, I'm going to go with the flow?
Oh, plan.
Plan.
Although I plan like on the day, just before I arrive, but I still plan.
Okay, so you are a planner, but you just don't do it like weeks in advance.
Not never.
So it's a little combination of both. I see. Well, thanks for sharing.
No
we're going to
problem.
dive into News in Depth. So we're going to begin with something very domestic because the government has announced plans to enshrine the principle of equal pay for equal work in the Labor Standards Act by the end of this year. So, okay, maybe word for word we do understand, but what exactly does it mean in practice?
So in simple terms, it means if two people are doing the same job, they should receive the same compensation regardless of their gender, whether they're men or women, permanent or temporary staff. Up to now, this principle was only written into the Equal Employment Act, which is aimed mostly at preventing gender discrimination. By moving it into the Labor Standards Act, the government is broadening it so that it applies it to workers all across the board.
I see. So this does sound like a major legal upgrade. And I imagine this isn't coming out of nowhere, right?
Not at all. This has been a long-standing debate in Korea ever since the early 2000s when non-regular employment expanded rapidly. Governments of all stripes, both conservative and progressive, have talked about closing the wage gap.
Yes.
But until now, those discussions never translated into actual law. President Lee Jae-myung made it one of his flagship pledges during the election campaign, saying it's simply nonsensical to pay a worker half just because of their contract status.
And the pay gap is pretty dramatic, isn't it?
Yes. Statistics Korea data shows that as of August last year, 2024, regular employees earned an average monthly wage of around 3.8 million won, while non-regular workers earned about 2.05 million won. That's just over 53% of what regular workers make, a gap of about 1.75 million won every month.
Wow.
And what's more worrying is that this gap is actually growing. Back in 2019, the difference was around 1.44 million won, so instead of narrowing, the inequality is widening.
Yes, and that is significant, 1.75 million won on average.
Every
So
month,
a pretty strong argument for why reform might be needed. But I know it's not as simple as just like writing it into law.
Exactly. Korea's wage system has traditionally been based on seniority, so what's called 연공제.
Okay.
Wages rise with years of service, not necessarily with the difficulty or responsibility of the job. That means two people doing the exactly same job may still be paid differently depending on how long they've been in the company. This structure makes it difficult to apply the equal pay principle fairly.
So the solution being discussed is a shift to a job-based wage system, correct?
That's right. A job-based system, or 직무급제, sets wages according to the nature of the work, the skills required, including the skills required, the responsibility involved, the working conditions, rather than simply seniority. Countries like Germany and the UK already use this approach, and it's seen as essential to making equal pay work in practice.
I have to say, it sounds like a huge cultural shift for Korean workplaces.
It would be, definitely.
Yes.
Employers often prefer the current system because it rewards loyalty and long service.
Yes.
Unions, meanwhile, worry that moving to a strict job-based system could weaken protections for regular staff.
Okay.
Some union leaders say it could even lead to reverse discrimination, where regular employees feel they're losing the benefits they fought for.
So both sides, whether it be maybe employers and employees are seemingly cautious, but maybe for different reasons.
Indeed. And there's also the question of defining what counts as the same work. Two office assistants may both type documents, but one might handle sensitive client information, while another does more routine filling. Are those truly the same job? Employers say differences in ability and responsibility need to be considered.
Oh, there are so many factors,
it's
right?
So complex.
Yes. So how's the government planning to address, everything in that gray area?
So they're proposing something called the wage distribution system, which would use national statistics to map out typical pay ranges for jobs across industries. That way, there's an objective baseline. They're also considering encouraging industry-wide bargaining rather than just company-by-company negotiations. This would help standardize pay across similar sectors.
Okay, so that might make sense. It's a way of making sure companies can't claim their situation is like totally unique.
Exactly. But it won't be easy. Again, Korea's union system is still mostly company-based, not industry-based.
Yes.
That's another structural obstacle. Experts like Professor Chung Hung-jun of Seoul Tech argue that without industry-wide frameworks and clear job definition, the law will remain more symbolic than enforceable.
So when is it supposed to take effect?
Well, the government wants to revise the law within this year.
Okay.
And if all goes smoothly, roll it out from the second half of next year, 2026. But even officials admit that timeline may be ambitious.
Okay.
There's still a lot of groundwork to lay, creating job evaluation systems, building consensus between labor and management, and preparing companies for the shift.
So to summarize, this reform is about fairness and reducing inequality, but it does come with major hurdles, from cultural resistance to just implementing it practically in the workplace, right?
That's right. It's one of those changes that looks simple on paper, but could take years of negotiation, trial and error before workers really see it in their paychecks.
Yes, and it will definitely be one to watch because it affects so many workers. Millions of workers. So we will definitely keep an eye on this. For now, we're going to move to another domestic issue. Claire, the aftermath of the torrential rains here in Korea that hit, especially in mid-July. So it's been about a full month since then, but I hear that many regions are still struggling to recover.
That's right. Even though the skies have cleared, the scars are everywhere. Homes remain destroyed, farmland is ruined, and for many families, daily life is still disrupted. Let's start with Sancheong in Gyeongsangnam-do province. In the village of Jasin Maul, houses are still buried under mud and rocks. One resident has been trying to clean his elderly mother's house alone. She barely survived by clinging to a utility pole during the flood, but the trauma was so severe she cannot return home.
I can't even imagine. It's heartbreaking to hear about. And I hear that recovery loans are adding to the stress?
Yes, the local government is offering 30 million won in loans for recovery, but interest starts after a year. For families who lost everything, the thought of taking on new debt feels impossible. One resident told reporters he doesn't know how his family will survive once reconstruction bills start coming in.
I see. And it's not just this Sancheong, this one area, right?
Exactly. In Gwangju, the Gwangju stream area remains badly damaged. Bike paths are still torn apart, railings are twisted, and the famous Yangdong Market's underground parking is unsafe. Residents say it feels like walking through a minefield. One elderly man even brought a flashlight just to jog along the riverside at night.
So it seems like even the basic community spaces, they haven't returned to normal.
That's right. And in Gapyeong, Gyeonggi province, families whose houses were destroyed by landslides are still living in community halls. Supplies like bottled water and instant noodles are stacked in corners, reminding residents every day that this is only temporary.
Right.
In Yesan, Chungcheongnam-do, where the Sapgyeocheon embankment collapsed, entire neighborhoods remain uninhabitable. One resident said the government's relief covered only part of the cost.
Yes.
She'll need at least 30 to 40 million won more to rebuild her home.
And this is after a full month of recovery efforts, correct?
Yes, the army, volunteers, and local officials have all been mobilized.
Yes.
But the damage was so widespread, and then came the August heat wave. Mud hardened into cement-like piles, debris dried out, and many elderly residents simply couldn't work outside in the heat.
Yes.
Cleanup slowed dramatically.
So it was kind of like one big disaster followed by kind of like another because of the heat.
Indeed. Flooding, then scorching heat, and now concerns about typhoon season. Many of the repairs so far are only temporary, so residents worry that the next heavy rain could undo everything.
Yes.
The uncertainty is constant. Some survivors avoid even walking near rivers or hillsides because the fear is still fresh.
Yes, and it's not just about infrastructure when you think about it. It's about mental health, too, of the survivors.
Absolutely. Psychologists are warning of post-traumatic stress, especially among children and seniors.
Yes.
People who lost neighbors or watched their homes swept away are reliving those moments whenever it rains. In Sancheong, one elderly woman reportedly hasn't left the community center since the disaster, too afraid to go back to her own house.
Right. So I think this goes to show you how long-lasting these disasters can be.
Yes, and experts say Korea needs to shift focus from short-term relief to long-term resilience, stronger embankments, better early warning systems, and more funding for psychological support. The July floods weren't an isolated event. They're part of a broader pattern of extreme weather linked to climate change.
So the challenge, it might not just be like rebuilding what was lost, but preparing for what might come next too.
Exactly. For families in Sancheong, Gwangju, Gapyeong, and Yesan, normal life is still far away. And for the country as a whole, the question is whether recovery plans can keep up with the reality of increasingly extreme weather.
So yes, once again, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who's been affected by the floods and the heat wave as well. All right, now we're going to switch gears. We're going to turn to the international stage. President Donald Trump's tariff policies. They have already shaken the trade all around the world, but now they're creating ripple effects in defense deal. So we need to know what's happening on this front.
Yes, so this is a fascinating development. The U.S. has long pushed allies in Europe to increase defense spending and to buy more American weapons.
Yes.
But with Trump's 39% reciprocal tariff on imports, European countries are starting to push back.
Right. So one example is Switzerland. So let's get the details on this.
So yes, Switzerland signed a $9.1 billion contract to buy F-35A fighter jets from the U.S., but after the tariffs, Swiss lawmakers are openly reconsidering the deal. Some are calling for renegotiations, others for outright cancellations.
Oh, so that's just one example. I hear Spain also responding very strongly.
Indeed. Spain currently spends about 2% of its GDP of defense, but when Washington demanded an additional 5% increase, Spain Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said enough is enough. Madrid has frozen its F-35 plans and is looking instead of the Eurofighter Typhoon and even a joint European next-generation fighter program.
So the U.S. plan to, I guess, sell more weapons could actually end up strengthening, on the flip side, Europe's own defense, that their side.
Yes, that's what we're seeing. Leaders like Sanchez are framing these as an issue of sovereignty, saying tariffs and one-sided demands are unfair and unilateral. France and Germany are also signaling that Europe needs to reduce reliance on the U.S. for its weapon systems.
Now we want to know, how does this affect Korea?
So interestingly, it could create opportunities, actually. Korea's defense industry has been expanding, exporting K-2 tanks, K-9 howitzers, and F-A-50 light fighter jets. If Europe is diversifying away from the U.S., Korean firms could find new contracts. Already, Poland has signed big defense deals with Korea in the past 2 years.
So I think this really shows how trade and security are so intertwined.
Absolutely. Tariffs may be designed to protect American industries, but in this case, they may push allies to look elsewhere. And that shift could reshape global defense markets in the years ahead.
Yes. Well, thank you for going over all the news today for News in Depth, and we'll be sure to check in with you real soon. So thank you, Claire.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, we are going to take a short song break. How about this one? You've Got a Friend of Me by Michael Bublé.
You got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Baby, you've got a friend in me. You got a pal in me. You've got a friend in me. You got your troubles, well, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. Darling, you've got a friend in me. Now some of the boys might be a little smarter than I am, or bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them is ever gonna love you the way I do. Oh, it's me and you, Lou, and as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's a destiny, 'cause you've got a friend in me. My baby, you've got a friend in me. Now some of the boys might be a little smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe. None of them is ever gonna love you the way I do, 'cause it's me and you. And as the years go by, our love will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. Baby, you've got a friend in me. You, me, you and me. You got a friend in me. My darling, you got a friend in me.
All right, everybody. So a couple more of your responses to just the program in general. We have Yo I Him who says, you can drive with no problem if you keep the speed limit. So he's referring back to the whole speeding ticket in Switzerland and whatnot. Switzerland is quite strict. Often the police checks on the roads and you have to pay immediately. Oh, they take credit cards. That's something new. Oh, and then for German citizens, they have a German bank account where you can transfer the money, perfectly organized, if you are caught by the speed traps out there. So, UIM, thank you for sharing that valuable information. Very interesting, by the way, with our listeners. And then we have Umberto checking in with us, bragging that he booked another family vacation, another one. So he is going to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. By the way, beautiful. 너무 예뻐요. If you've never been, I would highly recommend. And this time they're taking grandma. Ooh. So it's going to be a big family vacation to Cabo. So I certainly hope that you have a fabulous time with your family. And then JB님, where have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. And he says, yo, I have been 방황. 방황 왜 하시는데요? 왜 그러세요? 사춘기신가요? 아니죠. So it's great to see a lot of you returning back from vacation and even newer people, usernames, people that I have not seen on the board. As always, welcome to our program. We have Letina saying, 아이들 지금 토이스토리 보고 있는데 적절한 노래 흐르네요. So obviously that song, You've Got a Friend in Me, that is from Toy Story. All right, we're going to call it a wrap for this Monday morning. And so Morning Wave in Busan is produced by Cho Ye-ji. And then we have our new AD, Kang Ijin, joining our crew. We have our writers, Haley Seo and Soo Kim. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back to do it all over again tomorrow. We're going to end it on this one. This is Roller Coaster. Excuse me, it's Too Good to Say Goodbye. Too Good to Say Goodbye by Bruno Mars. So enjoy this one and come back tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
I could have treated you better. I let you get away. There goes my happily ever after. Tell me why can't we try and start again? This can't be how our story ends. You're more than my girl, you're my best friend. Tell me you remember when I was your man and you were my girl. It was your man against the world, baby. Ain't nobody gonna love me like the way you do. And you ain't never gonna find a love like mine. Tell me, what can I do to make it up to you? 'Cause what we got's too good to say goodbye. Yeah, I'm still in love with you, darling. I know you feel the same. Oh, what's the point of both of us being broken hearted? I pray it's never too late. So tell me why can't we try and start again? This can't be how our story ends. You're more than my girl, you're my best friend. Tell me you remember when I was your man and you were my girl. It was your man against the world, baby. Ain't nobody gonna love me like the way you do. And you ain't never gonna find a love like mine. Tell me, what can I do to make it up to you? 'Cause what we got's too good to say goodbye. Oh, don't you give up, girl, won't you listen? Don't you give up, it's you that I'm missing. Don't you give up, take my hand, I wanna go. If we're gonna fight, let's fight for better days. I know we're gonna make it, this is our chance, let's take it, baby. Ain't nobody gonna love me like the way you do. No, no, no. And you ain't never gonna find a love like mine. Ooh, tell me, what can I do to make it?
English